Well, hello there, YouTube. This is Mr. Gibson Guy here. Thanks for stopping by. Where'd I go? There I am. All right, not upside down. Good. So, welcome to the channel. Today, I got a shipment in, and I had a new camera, old camera, that's for the store. If you're not familiar with my channel, I'm a photographer from back in the 1970s, and I kind of got stuck in the 70s and still living for some reason, even though all my stuff is kind of like dead. But there's a big resurgence in popularity of film cameras from the 70s and 80s, the pre-autofocus, pre-auto everything cameras that work on their own, that you have to actually be a photographer to work with. And so I've kind of been reliving all the dreams of my youth nowadays with picking up lots and lots of my favorite old cameras that I would see in magazines or dream about, or pick up the advertisements at a camera show and stare at and read all that stuff while I owned one Minolta XG7, which was my pride and joy. But there were so many other great cameras that came out at that time. And now, after they'd completely lost all value, people started coming back to them and wanting film cameras. So there's been this big resurgence for old cameras. And fortunately, for us, probably part of the reason why there's so much interest is because the engineers that worked at these camera companies back then were very competitive, but they were really smart engineers, and they made these cameras that were going to last for several lifetimes. Now those cameras, like this one right here, are all running about 50 years old, but they're not even halfway through their lifespan. That would be more like a quarter of the way, because they probably last for 200 years. I don't know about the light meter in these cameras lasting 200 years, because the light meters are going to kind of eventually get resistant to light. Especially some of the earliest ones in the CDS cells. The silicone cells will probably go for a couple hundred years with no problem at all. But in my camera collecting, I found a lot of cameras that I was interested in. Some of them I would buy and I would really like them. Some of them I'd buy and check it out, make sure it all works, and didn't really do anything for me, so I put them up for sale. And now I've kind of gone into this thing where I sell cameras, and I buy cameras like this, which is a perfectly good camera, but not a camera that I'm really interested in. But this camera, I'll show you up close. This is what I sell by far the most of. This is a Canon AE-1. Has a regular Canon FD 50mm f1.8 lens on it, and I sell these things. I've gotten to the point where I've sold 2 in one day, and that's just putting them up on the eBay store and people just buy them. I've sold quite a few cameras that way. Mostly I stock the AE-1s because that's what people like, is the AE-1. Now, my own personal observation is the AE-1 is a great camera. It's a sturdy camera, it's a workhorse, and it's the classic camera of the 1970s. It was really kind of the center of evolution brought us into modern day cameras, was because Canon developed the AE-1. If you want to know I have the whole history, because the AE-1 was the flagship originally of the A series. Canon came out with the A series, then they came out with a bunch of variants of the A series. The first one was the AE-1, which came out in April of 1976. I was still in college then, wow. And then that was followed in December of 1976, right when I graduated, with the AT-1, which was like an AE-1 that had an electronically controlled manual exposure, which was kind of weird, but they sold a lot of those. In April of 1978, 2 years after the AE-1, Canon introduced their real flagship camera, the A1, which looks like this. This one's got an auxiliary lens on it. You'll find out why in a minute. Okay, so that was in 78. Then, just a few months after I bought my XG7, then in May of 1979, they came out with the AV1, which was auto exposure without any manual exposure, simplified budget camera. Then in April of '81, since 5 years after the AE-1, they came up with the AE-1 program. They kept all these cameras going. They were all in production all during that time. The program was not the end of the line. They had a little trick they pulled on us, and they came out with one more A-series camera, and that was the AL1. Came out in March of 1982, so 11 months after the AE-1 program. They surprised us with one more A-series camera. And after that, then they went to the T70 and T90 and stuff like that. They went to the autofocus stuff. The AL1 was not an autofocus camera. It was a manual focus camera that took the regular FD lenses, but it had what do they call it? Suggested focus. They recommended focus. Had a focusing aid that it would tell you, no, this way, this way, this way, this way. There, it's lined up. So it would kind of guide you to focus your camera on the right, on what the camera thought was the subject. So that one only was around for a little while, and then it was replaced by the regular autofocus cameras, and that went by the wayside. But my own view, the A1, not AE1, the A1 was their greatest camera of all of the A series. It's far advanced from the AE1, but modern day, everybody wants an AE1, or they'll fall back on an AE1 program, which is also more advanced than the AE1. Not quite as advanced as the A1. And as a result, you can sell these AE1s with a 50mm lens for, $150 all the time. And an A1, you can't sell it for, well, this one, I already took the pictures of it. It'll be going up as soon as I finish making this video. It'll be going up for sale on my site, and it'll sell for $130 with the strap, with the lens, and they'll sell real fast. This one here, I have this A1, and this A1 comes with a real power winder, the real Canon power winder. And it comes with a flash also, not just a flash, comes out with a Canon. This is the 199A. You can read that on the back there. 199A. This was their top of the line shoe-mounted flash. They had one that was a handle mount, or 377 or something, I forget what it was. But this one is a real powerful flash. Let's see. They got batteries in it. Let's see if it charges up. It has a lock on it instead of the screw, so it holds on to the bottom of the camera. Come on, let's go. We ready? I hear it. Oh, there we go. We got a red light, so I can use that as a test. wide open. There it goes. That thing will just flash and flash. It has 4 NiCads in it, nickel cadmium battery, rechargeables. That's what it was supposed to be running on. Right there. There's no sign of any corrosion in it. This actually is a flash you could do quite a lot with. Not those little tiny things they put on cameras today. All that auto winder, Canon flash, Canon auto winder, Canon AE-1. This lens is the Vivitar, and it is a 28 to 70 millimeter zoom. So it goes from 28 millimeter wide angle to 210 millimeters. Show you, that's quite a zoom range. See, there it is at 28, 35, 50, 70, 100, 135, 210, way out there. So that goes from a pretty long, from a short wide angle to a long zoom. And then there's the auto winder. Some young people are like I was when I was a young person, and that is, you really want this because it does that. How cool is that? That's the auto winder on there. And that helps you to waste lots and lots of film. But this has been for sale for some time now, and I'm asking $120 for it, all as it is. It does not include a 50 millimeter lens, but if you have one already and you want to get a different camera with an auto winder, that's a great deal. I didn't ever put it on a video before, but it is. And let me tell you a story, because I said mostly I sell these. I sold one a few weeks ago to a lady, and she sent it back. Well, and that kind of came as a surprise to me until I read her excuse, her reason for sending it back, which I'll share with you in a minute. As we were discussing, these Canon cameras are real tanks that will last for generations. These are the heirlooms that will pass down to great-grandchildren you never met, came long after you were gone. But one thing that the camera companies didn't put a whole lot of design effort into was their lens caps. The lens caps, I think they were probably bought from outside companies that just would, oh, you need a 10,000 55 millimeter lens caps that say Canon on them. They got them that way. With those lens caps, I still have some, but you know what? They're kind of unusual to find because these cameras just go on and on and on and on, but those cheap little plastic lens caps break pretty quickly. They, you know, we were lucky if they were working at all, and that was one of the things in the camera store that they had lots of GP on, and they were glad to sell them all the time. The people were coming in buying lens caps because their lens cap fell off, or it broke, or it broke and fell off, or they threw it off and jumped on it, oh, whatever reason. So the cameras are quite common. The lens caps are kind of unusual. So I try to keep up some sort of stock of whatever I can get. It's getting harder and harder for me to find used cameras that have the lens cap with them. So I scrounge around wherever I can go. And on this last, not the last one, a couple of cameras ago, I sold this AE-1, and came back with this nasty note here. You sent me a Samsung camera. A Samsung camera. It was supposed to be a Canon. Well, you know what? It was a Canon camera just because the lens cap said Samsung. Doesn't mean it was a Samsung camera. It was a Canon AE-1 that had, actually this was a much better designed lens cap, but she didn't want it, so she sent it back and told eBay she was very dissatisfied. And I've never had a dissatisfied customer, but I sent her all her money back, didn't cost her anything. And I had already gotten another camera that I had just put up, so I put both of them up for sale. Right when it came back, and they both sold that night. So I didn't have it for long, and the person who bought it hasn't complained about the Samsung lens cap. You sold me a Samsung camera. If I had a Samsung camera, that would probably be worth something because there's no such thing. But anyway, that's the story on that. So there's the camera store has its ups and downs. It's just a fun thing to do, and I have lots and lots of camera equipment, and I guess ultimately everything's for sale, although a lot of stuff I don't really want to part with, so I just advertise some stuff. And I also have a big plastic bag full of assorted lens caps because I buy those online whenever I see them come up. Oh, I can get 10 lens caps for 20 bucks. I'll do it. There we go. And most of them I won't use for anything, but sooner or later you find a use for most of them. And that's the story of the camera store. Let me give you the last part. I should have told you this at first. So my channel is Mr. Gibson Guy 335. That's also my Yahoo address. And as of now, I changed over my camera store on eBay, and it is now Mr. Gibson Guy 335 Camera. And I put in capital letters, but eBay spit them back out as all lowercase, so you don't have to worry about the upper lowercase on it. Mr. Gibson Guy 335 Camera. No spaces, of course. And if you look that up on eBay, it will take you right to my store, and you can see what I have up there. I'm probably going to start putting some more stuff because every time I build up the listings, a bunch of people buy stuff, so then it kind of goes back down again. So I kind of do this continuously. But especially if you're interested in an AE-1 or AE-1 program, or an A1 with an auto winder and a flash and a telephoto zoom, I got one of those too. It's been around here for a while. So that's the story on the store. If anybody wants to visit and go shop for a little bit, I sell more than Canon stuff, and I also have a number of lenses, but the ones that I'm selling right now are Tamron lenses, and I have a whole bunch of adapters so they can adapt to just about anything. So that's it. Thanks for stopping by. Give me a like, leave me a comment, contact me if there's anything you're interested in, you're looking for, and I can help you locate something. I'll be glad to do it, or just to say howdy. Okay? Well, this is Mr. Gibson Guy, and I am out of here.